Come on in, let's go. Crown stand, third eye blazing. Now memory in the mirror, self-I in your spine. The ancestors, which ancestors are whispering, whispering. No flex, just recognition. Power seeks power and sits down. There's no competition here, only alignment. All of the mass will fall. Truth breathes, strength multiplies. Praise be. Ashe, Ashe, Aho. Come on. Strengthen your posture. We are rising to the top. Well, Ashe. Ashe and Aho, this is Duchess the Spiritual Doula. I'm coming at you again. And we are continuing this series on shadow work, ancestral work, understanding, understanding, overstanding who the ancestors were, how we access what the realms contain, and what they're for, basically. You know, I want you to understand the different spheres of ancestral assignments and what they are for, and how to utilize them. I'm going to get through all 80. We're going to do about like maybe 5 or 6 in this video that I'm going to discuss. And then I'm going to come back after I'm done all of them to express to you how to work with them even further. Okay, I'm going to give you some here, but then at the end of the series, I'm going to give you a compilation of how to access this realm, this ancestral realm. Okay, but these videos are just so that you understand, and overstand the different kinds of ancestors that you have the ability to work with and who wants to work with you. I told you in the last video, we talked about walking in justice, not judgment, how to know when to hold the knowledge that you gained, and what to release, right? What you should speak, what you should utilize, right? And we're going to go further in depth with that as well. Okay. All right. So let us go forward. I pray that everybody is well. I pray that this information resonates with you and with those that it needs to resonate with, that they learn how to stand in a position that they need to stand in so that they can move forward, so that they can heal, so that they can illuminate and enlighten the path that moves forward. We ask the ancestors to work with them, to walk with them, to speak with them, to sup with them. Father God, we thank you. Mother, we thank you. Christ, the Holy Spirit, Ashe, Amen, Aho. Just like many ancient traditions speak about layers of heaven, we're going to talk about the layers of the spiritual realm, okay, the ancestral realm, okay. Just like in many constructs, there is order, because there is order, right? There are dimensions, realms, or levels of divine consciousness, okay. Many traditions also understand the ancestral realm as a healing, as having levels of operation, and that is very important that you get that, okay. And I want to teach this correctly so that there's some things I can't say, because okay, you have to learn to get information and how to work that information, because I can't tell you everything, because how my ancestors work with me and how I work with the ancestral realm is differently than which you work with, and this is a level of consciousness that you have to bring yourself to. Okay, so many people want the answers, all of the answers. I give you the recipe on how to use this, okay? And everybody's way is different, okay? And we're going to go into that more and why, okay? Different cultures describe these levels differently, okay? There's no single universal map of ancestral realms, okay? It's very important to understand that. You have the African tradition, indigenous, Jewish mysticism, Christian mysticism, or traditional construct of Christianity as it is today, and other spiritual systems have different ways of describing the unseen world, okay? What I'm giving you here is a teaching, a framework, a way to understand the ancestral realm as a layered spiritual system, okay? Because the mistake many people make is thinking that the ancestral realm is just one room, okay? It is like a kingdom, a chamber. It has functions and movement. It also has different states of consciousness. And when you look at any spiritual structure, you have to think about like the earth, or your neighborhoods, okay? You have cities and countries and governments and schools and hospitals and courts, and you have a house, you have the kitchen, you have the bathroom, you have the bedroom, you have the main bedroom, right? You have the guest bedroom, okay? So you have the dining room, all right? So every place has its function, right? Okay. I'm not gonna sleep in the dining room, right? And I'm sure enough not gonna go to the bathroom in the kitchen. That's not what it's for, unless you're nasty. But the spirit realm is understood the same way, okay, in many ancient teachings, okay? It's just not one room, okay? It is also important to understand that the ancestral realm is not chaos, it is order, okay? It has order, and a lot of things, just like we have the judicial system, we have presidential system, we have many systems within the world,
and they have order. When you go to work, it has order, okay? So it's very important. Your homes should have order, right? How you raise your kids, how your family times and days and dates and things that, you have order to that, right? The first level is what we call the ancestral realm, is the resting ancestral realm, okay? And this is the closest layer of the ancestral realm here, right, that we can touch. And I tell the story all the time about how when my daughter transitioned, there was a space where I could feel her and her messages were coming in. And then I went through further in my grief, which clouded my ability. And I've worked with many different ancestors, many different other people's ancestors, relate messages to people. But I got to a place where I could no longer sense or feel or smell or touch my daughter. And that's because I had forgot in my own grief the things I already knew, right? And the teachings that I already knew, that she has now ascended further. She's in her next stage, right? And in order for me to have access to her, I needed to bring myself even higher, okay? So we had the resting ancestral realm. Okay. And I'm going to go back on there. I had to bring myself a little bit higher. Okay. I'm going to stay there. Because a lot of us are trying to access things that we don't have access to, because you have to bring yourself a little bit higher. Okay. You have the baggage, you have the hurt, you have the pain, and you have to learn to go through the proper channels of healing and of restoration so that those rivers and streams within you can flow. Okay. So that you're not experiencing that blockage any longer, and that you don't access these places at a distorted sense. You understand what I'm saying? So again, the resting ancestral realm, we have that. Okay, that's the first level. Okay, and this is the closest level to human memory. These are the ancestors, like I said, that have recently transitioned. Okay, like your grandmother, your father, your sibling, friend. You understand what I'm saying? You can still strongly feel them. Okay, this realm is about connecting to and adjusting, okay, and transitioning and continuing relationship, okay? That's what it's connected to. The mistake people make is thinking the ancestor realm is only about looking backwards, okay? And that is not. Okay, remembering sweet old grandma, or remembering, like my daughter, oh, remember she used to like this, and remember she used to like that. That is not what it's about. Oh, she used to sit here and she used to play. That's not what it's about. Okay, the ancestral is not about understanding the invisible systems that shape the visible life. Okay, it is about the understanding of visible systems that shape the invisible life. Okay, and when we go deeper and understand and fully understand the systems, okay, when we can see how things showed up. Okay, even like I'll bring up my daughter again. There's some things in the system, okay, where she'll drop things or something to show up even with the kids that I still raise today, and she will be like, boom here, boom there, and I'm like, oh. And what the ancestors help you do is to navigate, okay, how to correct some things, okay, because none of us are perfect. Okay, it causes you to have the conversations that you need to have. Okay, just like everything has its roots. Okay, it has also a field around it. Okay, a tree has roots beneath the soil that cannot be seen, right? Okay, but the branches above, what do? It depends on everything that happens in the ground, whether it produces, whether it doesn't produce. Okay, because of what's going on in that soil, we can't see it. You understand what I'm saying? A family is the same way. The visible family is the branches, okay? And the ancestral realm is the root system, okay? Sometimes some trees have been planted a long time. Their roots can grow into your neighbor's next yard or way up the street a mile long. And some things have occurred and happened. There's some damage and maybe some rots, right? It may have went through somebody's pole system, and some things need to be cut away and pruned, okay? So when those roots are sick, right, what happens? The tree doesn't produce well, okay? And that is what has happened to a lot of us, okay? We have drinking into, I know in the last video I talked about the ancestral field, the astral field, and I talked about justice, I talked about judgment, I talked about the ancestors, it being the system being like a huge river or lake or stream of rain, right? And a lot of people, what they say, some people say, the rain is poison. You can't drink the rain because of what they put in the atmosphere, okay? It's just like our system. Every ancestor that we work with, and we're going to go through each type, even the elemental ancestors, we're going to go deep because I love talking about this. And you might see me kind of scatter a little bit, and that's because as I'm speaking to you, I love to commune with the divine, and I'm hearing some things that is just amazing. And it's helping me along as far as talking to you as well. Okay, but everybody pours into those lakes and those streams. Okay, somebody dipped their finger in their dirt, somebody spit in it, somebody put some hurt, some pain, right? All of that is in there, and it flows, okay, into the next stream and into the next body of water, and then somebody drinks it. Okay, it's like when you look at a child, like I said in the last video, you're like, something about them reminds me of so and so. Or then you might get somebody like, I don't know where that came from, because none of us do that. We're gonna get into why, okay? Because this is why some people enter a family and immediately, like I said, you feel the connection, okay? And then sometimes you can't explain, okay? Sometimes you feel the heaviness, the greatness, the tension, okay? Or the energy, okay? Is more clearer, and then sometimes you can't explain it, right? Sometimes it causes a conflict. Sometimes they feel certain rooms hold memory. The child, there's many videos of children who talk about things and their parents is doing videos, or internet is a thing, right? And they're like, how would she know this? She wasn't here. You feel what I'm saying? Then we can go into incarnation and all that stuff like that in a later date. It's because space holds impression, okay? Families hold impression, lineage holds impression. The ancestral field is the accumulation of everything that has been, excuse me, carried, suppressed, celebrated, denied, or passed forward, okay? So we're going to talk about now our first ancestral ancestor line that we're going to talk about is the bloodline ancestors, okay? So I'm going to break it down for you, and then later we're going to expand into it in further videos, okay? I just want to get all the information out so that you can do with it what you need to do with it. And then later I'm going to come, once I get through all 80, and express to you how to work with them, like literally, okay? Now I'll give you all the answers in the test, and we're going to build up to this because that's how I like to do things, and that's how Spirit has taught me to do things so that people can learn effectively, not just dumping all kinds of information out here and expect you to just figure it out. You know what I mean? As an elder, that's not what we're supposed to do, okay? I like that. I'm a little more, and some people like to, have already told me they like that I'm a little bit more intimate, okay? So then we have the bloodline ancestors, okay? And they are just not names on your chart, on your family tree, okay? They are the original architects of spiritual pattern, okay? Every family has a survival language. It's very important to understand that, okay? Some families survive through humor, through silence, through hard work, through spirituality, through intelligence, through creativity, through community. The descendants, you, okay? Your job is to study the language of survival that was handed down, okay? Because that's where you will find the answers that you need and the mystery that is within that, okay? And I will say, through all of this comes through meditation and prayer and connecting with the spiritual realm. Okay, this is how these things show up. Doing your history, learning about your ancestors, asking the ones that are still alive. Doing some research. You may have your ancestry.com, learning more, going down the rabbit hole. Okay, seeing what they did, how they lived, what it was like, what the times were like. Okay, it is important to do these things. Okay, get accumulated with who you are, with who they were, what is attached to you. Okay, maybe somebody committed something horrible or something, you'll find all that out, okay? All right, because there is mystery, okay? The same thing that saved your ancestors may become the thing that limits you, okay? Your grandmother learned to never trust a man, a person, okay? Lived a hermit life, okay? May have been survived. She may have survived, may have been a survival technique where she had to survive betrayal, okay? But here her granddaughter's coming along, living in a different dispensation, living in a different world, okay? With different things, okay? May have inherited that survival technique as her grandmother, okay? The same distrust and struggle. She now learns to struggle and to struggle to receive like love or compassion, okay? Or allowing people in when she needs help. She don't know how to ask for help because she has that same struggle. Okay, you have like a great grandfather or somebody further down the line who learned to never show emotion. Okay, and especially in our culture, we the men are taught not to show emotion. Okay, all right, and a lot of that comes from the ancestral drama. I like to say drama, not trauma, where the world was way more harsh for them. Okay, but now you got your grandson and your great grandson and all these lineages after that person that has now built up emotional walls, okay? They have ego, they have pride, they struggle with vulnerability, okay? So your grandfather had maybe 4 wives, right? And divorces. Now, this one struggles to have any successful relationship with a female or anybody, okay? The ancestor was not always wrong, okay, for surviving. Okay, and in a lot of contexts, and about slavery, wasn't wrong at all for trying to survive. Okay, a lot of people have their own ideologies of what people should have did during slavery, and I say, well, how about we put you there and see what you do? Okay, but our responsibility is not to worry about whether they were right or wrong. We are not here to point the finger. Our responsibility is to transform, okay, that hurt, that pain, that survival, that technique that they had to use into wisdom. Okay, and this is what I called in the last video the position. Okay, the justice position, where we stand. Excuse me. Like I said, it's not about revenge. okay? And it's not about judgment, okay? It's always about justice, compassion. It's all about love. It's all about unity. It's all about bridging the gap, tethering yourself from the earth to the kingdom. Do you understand what I'm saying? You are not you do not curse what became before you, okay? You learn to examine it, okay? To honor the sacrifices that were made, okay? You learn to release the limitations and you keep the lessons. And we're going to go into that when we talk about the warrior ancestor, okay? And how you become a strong warrior, okay? It's very important because when it comes to keeping the lesson is very important. So keep that in the back of your mind because we're going to get there. That is how the chain becomes a bridge, okay? Now we're going to talk about the maternal ancestors. Okay, so write this down. Okay, the maternal line carries more than motherhood, and a lot of times I teach about the portals that I tell my kids, and this is how I talk. The portals which you come through. Okay, it's very important to understand the portals which you come through, and we have the divine feminine, divine masculine, right, and all of them work together to procreate. Okay, so we're going to get back into maternal ancestors because I just want to talk about this right here. The portals that you come through. You may be a Capricorn, but your mother is a Gemini and your father is a Sagittarius, and then all of you guys have your own houses. And on your chart, you can put your charts together and say, some of it lines up, some of it matches, some of it helps each other. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's very important to understand everything that I'm saying to you. Okay. But the maternal ancestors, the womb, okay, it carries itself the memory of creation. It is the woman of the lineages who often were the keepers of the emotional flow, the emotional atmosphere of the family. Okay, they are the ones that remember who was hurt, who left, who returned, who was lost, who was celebrated, okay, who was on drugs, who was the molester, who was, all that stuff, who was a successful, who wasn't the successful, who was supposed to be let in, who wasn't going to be let in, okay. The women have hysterically, for generations, carried family memories, stories, recipes, songs, traditions, okay, and rituals, okay. The grandmother, usually your grandmother usually told you the stories. She was able to sit back, relax, tell stories, okay. She became the library, okay. And then you had another auntie who became a map, okay. Not just being nosy, but she connects the dots, of your family, okay. The family connection, okay. Then you had the elders who prayed, who stood in the priest ancestors as well. You know what I mean? And we're going to go into that. She's maintaining the spirituality, the balance. Okay. All right. The maternal ancestors teach the descendants how to listen. And that is important for you to know. Okay. That nurturing, that patience, that calmness. Okay. Think about a mother, who a mother is. Okay. That safety. Okay. The laying on of the breast or the shoulder. You understand? Hearing your stories. You understand? It's important because creation begins with listening. Okay, when you're carrying a baby, what is the first thing that they do? They put this, listen for the heartbeat. Okay, listen. Okay, so when you're in this space, learn to listen. Okay, come in yourself, pray and feel and listen. You understand? Listen. Don't judge. It's not about revenge. Hold one of your ancestors' items and listen to what you feel within your body, what words may come up and generate, and don't make it up. Okay, because as you grow, it's going to come. Okay, if you don't feel anything or you don't hear anything or sense anything at first, it will flow. Okay, I am a person who comes against people because I detect all kinds of things because that's who I am. Don't lie, don't make it up, don't do falsehood, because now you're deceiving yourself. Then you be going to deceive others and say you have this ability that you do not carry. Okay, a seed does not force itself into existence. It learns to wait. It learns to receive. It grows. Okay, and that is very important. Okay, in the maternal realm teaches the sacred power of receiving. Okay, and it's very important that you understand that. I'm doing this videos the best way that I can. I was outside, but then I had a lot of traffic come through there, so I had to start all over. So here I am. I came inside, and I don't know where these my eyes and the camera does its own thing, because you have to position it a certain way to, I guess, be seen. And it's not about that. What it's about, I'm not here to perform for anybody. I'm not here to be seen. I'm here to just do my gift, provide you and yield to you what Spirit has given to me so that you can succeed, okay, in your journey, okay? And next we're going to go through the paternal ancestors, okay? And the paternal field is often misunderstood as just because, or reduced to, the father relationship, okay? But it's much bigger than that, okay? It's way bigger than that. The paternal ancestors represent the architecture, the identity. They ask who you are, what do you stand for, okay? I'm going to ask you these questions when you get into that, okay? You're going to start analyzing yourself and speaking to yourself and feeling these questions rise up in you, okay? What do you protect? What do you build? What do you contribute to this, okay? All right? The paternal line carries the memory of movements, okay? The migration, the expansion, the construction, the leadership, okay? All right? The father energy is not simply about being a man, okay? It is the archetype, okay, of direction. It is the pillar, okay, that everyone needs, okay? And having the ability to say, I know who I am. I know where I'm going. And I'm going to stop here and say this. Certain parents are toxic and they should not have access. I'm taking care of my great nephew now, whose parents are toxic, and they should not have access to their kids because they are toxic. They are unlearned. They are destructive, right? And they did some horrible things to them. I'm a winner for separating parents. People say boys need their fathers. Well, honey, I will stand up and tell you sometimes the parent, if they're destructive, it's time. We're in a state of unveiling, a dispensation of unveiling, which I talked about in the last video. Okay, it's time out for us bowing down to the same bull crap year after year, year after year, month after month, day after day. Okay, it's time to correct, okay, some things. I'm taking care of my great nephew. He is not my maternal or paternal great nephew. My mother married his grandfather, okay, and he's step, and we're going to get into all them step ancestors and all that stuff right there, because now I'm working with those step ancestors to nurture my step nephew. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm able to teach him based on what I know and from what I gained through spirit. Okay, so that is very important. Okay, so these paternal ancestors, let's get back on that, will ask you, okay, and become, every person needs that inner pill so that you can now see when they ask you those questions, I know who I am. You can now say that, okay? I know where I'm going, okay? I know what I'm responsible for. I know the pattern know when the pattern field is wounded, okay? And know which direction to go, okay? Some descendants, some of people, the descendants, us, that struggle with that direction, okay? Sometimes you feel like you're floating. And I can say this about life. Sometimes we get to a point in life where it's like, what's going on? Okay? You may have gifts, but you have no structure, okay? You may have a vision, but there's no foundation, okay? The healing is not rejecting the masculine energy, the paternal energy, ancestor, the father energy. The healing is restoring it, okay? And that is very important that you get that, okay? So now we are going to go into the spiritual ancestors, but this is where many people experience a calling that they cannot explain. A person can be born into a family with no spiritual tradition and still feel pulled toward ancient wisdom, okay? Many are. Why? It's because spiritual lineage is not only inherited through blood, but inherited through resonance, okay? So it's very important that you understand that. Some may be drawn to healing, to teaching, to protecting, and not even know why. Okay, some are drawn to uncover knowledge, right? Spiritual ancestors are those who walked a path before you and left the torch. Okay, they're not holding the torch. Okay, they're not lighting the way for you. Okay, but there is a responsibility in this as well. Okay, that you don't become into a place where you now worship the ancestor, okay, where the ancestor becomes your just sole survivor or your guide, okay? You ever hear somebody say pass the torch, or the phrase pass the torch? It's because now that ancestor is in this position to help you light your torch, carry your torch, okay? All right, they had their torch, they're still carrying their torch, okay? But they passed you one, so now teaching you how to light it, teaching you how to use it, teaching you how to utilize it, okay? A teacher's greatest honor is not that you praise them. They're not asking for that in this space, okay? It is a continued work with integrity. So that's not for you to get the information to know that you carry the torch, that you are a matriarch archetype, and we'll get into that one day as well, but that you do it with honor and humility, okay? All right? You have an assignment. You don't want to make the same mistakes that your ancestors made, okay? You want to perfect and move forward, okay? So now we're going to go into cultural ancestors, okay? And this is where we enter memory preservation, okay? The cultural, I have a lot of movement. The culture is a spiritual technology, okay? It's a system, okay? Like song carries memory, okay? Like language carries the views of the world, okay? The food, what we get, where it came from, the geography of it, okay? Arts, dance, motion and history, right? Books, your name has a meaning, has an identity. You understand what I'm saying? People who lose their culture, and this is very important that you hear this, often lose a piece of their spiritual mirror, right? What mirror do you stand in? Okay, is it of this dogma that the world, this earth game, that the world of control, okay, and a lot of people go into, taking us from where we come from and beating us and trying to reprogram us into their system. Okay, they try to blind your eyes so you lose the spiritual mirror. Okay, all right, because why? Because culture tells you. That's why people are getting, and things are awakening in the world, because it's the age of unveiling. Okay, tells a person who they are. This is where you come from. This is what shaped you. This is the song of your lineage. This is what your people survived, what created, what spirituality you are, what drum sound. You understand what I'm saying? Why, when, where, and how. Okay? Cultures and ancestors protect against spiritual amnesia. Okay? Delusion. Okay? It protects you from that. Okay? All right? Delirium. Okay? They remind the descendants, you, us, they remind us, you do not begin with your struggle. You are not your struggle. Okay? You begin with a story. And here is the story. I need you to listen to the story so you can understand the journey. Okay? All right? So that you get it. Okay? And so that you flow correctly. Okay? You begin with a story. You begin with the history, the culture. Okay, it's very important. That's why people want to go back and touch. But what many people have diluted, everything, or overextended themselves, and then debate and argue and point fingers. And that is not the place that we're supposed to work in. Okay, so now we're going to go into our tribal ancestors. Okay, the tribal field is a collective consciousness. Okay, it's the elders, the council, the keepers, right? The ones who understood the wisdom that was never meant to be owned by just one person. It flows. Okay, a tribe survives because knowledge moves and is handed down. The stories are passed, the rituals are passed, the recipes are passed, right? The rules are passed. Okay, just like a hunter will teach, a healer will teach, right? The next generation, or the apprentice, right? The elders teach, within the community, within society. They wrote books for us to have now. I think many of them would have loved to have this aspect of internet to be able to get the message across. I think that would have been awesome to see some of them be on TikTok or YouTube. The community protects the individual, okay, and the individual protects the community. And it's a sacred vibe. It's a sacred circle. It's a sacred place, space, okay? All right? Modern society often teaches separation, okay? You got tribal ancestors, okay? Kick your child out the house by a certain age, okay? If one becomes pregnant, they can't stay here. It teaches destruction, okay? Of an age, society is not our friend. And it's very important that you understand it. And that's why there's an unveiling and a restoration that is coming in, okay? Ancient wisdom teaches relationship, unity, family, culture, okay? Sticking together, working together, moving together, okay? Rising together, okay? And I know that with some constructs, because of the dynamic, there's tribes. You'll find your tribe, and it may not be in your blood. You understand what I'm saying? So we're going to go into all of that as well, okay? Ancient healing ancestors, okay? So we're going to talk about the healing ancestors. And I wish I had this to come across the screen as I'm saying it, like to flash up. I don't know nothing about this technology and how to use it. People do some creative things with their videos, and I'd be like, whoa, that is so cool. I'm learning. A lot of it's not important to me. As long as I get this out here, it's fine for me. Like if I got to keep toggling, and I'm doing enough toggling and keeping things regulated to be able to do what they do. And I'm not out here to be seen. I'm not out here to perform for anybody or just act like I know something. I'm here for what Spirit has me for, and then I move on. Okay. So the healing realm, the healing ancestor realm, this realm is powerful. The healing ancestors are powerful because healing ancestors understand restoration. They understand that the body speaks, the land speaks, the plants, okay, speak, that everything in nature speaks, the seasons, the spirits. Healing ancestors also learn how to listen and to flow, okay? It's very important, okay? They observe pattern. They use their senses, okay? They understand cycles. They understood the imbalances, okay? And what the imbalances create, okay? And why, okay? The healer, you and me, right? The upcoming healer, the descendant, and you hear me say descendant a lot because that's what we are. We also pick up the empathic ability, right? The clair senses, right? Where we feel the pain of others deeply, okay? It's because you have that frequency of restoration of the healer. So if you have any of that, you need to be working with the maternal ancestors. You need to be working with your bloodline ancestors. You need to be working with your healing ancestors. literally, right? So that you learn it to balance, okay? Because the lesson is this: a healer not can become the place where everyone deposits and throws their junk onto, okay? Because I mean, even medicine has its limitations. Too much of anything will kill you, right? You have to, if you're taking an Advil, you can't take it back to back every 5 minutes. You're going to overdose, correct? You're going to die, right? You can't allow people to kill you in this space. You can't become too much overwhelmed, okay? Or the container of everybody's waste, okay? All right? That's why you need to be working with them, so you learn how to balance yourself. What needs to be healed within the line, your family line, what needs to be healed in you, okay? What needs to be healed wherever you go, okay? Because like I said, there's so many different ancestrals, and I'm gonna go through 80 archetypes. So it may not just be your family line, it may be somebody else's, it may be, and you're open now to hearing and to listening and to knowing how to move within that space. I have a daughter-in-law. They're not actually, they're spiritually married. My son, let me sit up here, and my daughter-in-law, and I speak to her a lot of times about what I see and what I feel based on where she's come from and her ancestors, that now that she's been here and living in close quarters where I pick things up, and I'm able to talk to her and explain some things and say some things to her as well. You understand what I'm saying? So once you start working in the ancestral field, you will see that, and you will see yourself grow in those areas. And like I said, don't push those areas. Flow with it, breathe with it. You understand what I'm saying? Then we have the warrior ancestors. So we're gonna move on to the warrior ancestors. And this is not about he ha 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 beating your chest, aggression, always ready for a fight or a confrontation. Okay, sometimes we have to move in that, but you have to know how to flow within the warrior stance. Okay, so that you don't cause more damage. Okay, it's not about aggression, it's about guardianship. Okay, a real warrior protects what has values. And remember I said that early on to pay attention when we were talking about the bloodline ancestors and the paternal and the maternal ancestors. Okay, what has value? Okay, so that you don't pluck up or destroy what you need. Okay, so it's very important, okay, that you understand that, and that's how they work, and that's what these ancestors want to teach you, so that you're not keep hitting yourself against the wall. Okay, all right. And in this space they ask you some questions. You'll feel it in your soul. What are you willing to defend? Are you built for this? Are you a true warrior? Okay? So what are you willing to defend? What are you willing to walk away from? Okay? Is it your peace, your truth, your family, your purpose, your integrity, your ego, your pride? Okay? What are you? Okay? All right? Because the shadow side of a warrior is destruction. Okay? That person don't work in wisdom. Okay? All right? That's a destructive warrior. Okay, those are the ancestors I tell you that show up, and they don't mean you well. You feel what I'm saying? Okay, and I know a lot of people say, oh, my ancestors are going to show up and they're going to kill you. My ancestors are going to show up if you do this and do this. And the ancestors be looking at y'all like, first of all, we need some accountability. Because there's some things that we tried to tell you and show you in signs and knocking on your door through dreams that you didn't listen to. So you open the door for a lot of the things that you're walking through. Okay? All right? Like I said, you got to walk through wisdom. Okay? All right? What has value? What's the value? Okay, in all of this, because some of the ancestors not showing up because karma gotta have its place. Okay, you did some things, you didn't listen, and now you want us to come in and save the day. Okay, all right, because you walked in destruction, you didn't listen to the wisdom. Okay, a healed warrior looks like walking in protection. Okay, walking in discernment, walking in the wisdom. Okay, all right, understanding that some things got to go. Okay, and what not to accept and not to tolerate. Okay, but how to actually successfully do what they need to do. Okay, then you have the priest ancestors. Okay, and a lot of people I see feel called to this realm and feel called to operate into this as well. But this is the realm of mastery. These are the ancestors that are working with you, and even if you are not totally there, you can still work with your priesthood ancestor. Okay, because this is the chamber of the bridge walkers. Okay, the ones who understood the symbols, the divine law, and carried the rituals and interpreted the dreams. Okay, all right, these are the ones that were rooted in signs. Okay, all right, they was the ones who listened and had the connection, the sacred connection. Okay, and they helped the family, the lineage, the atmosphere, people in the atmosphere. They were connected with the trees, the elements. Okay, they helped people connect to the sacred. Okay, and there's many of them out here, but there's many of them that is not balanced. Okay, all right, and one of that is because it's not about you being out here, I know this, I know that, you're wrong, you're right type thing. It is about walking in humility. Okay, all right, spiritual authority without compassion at any time becomes your pride, becomes your ego, just becomes you making noise, just becomes you wanting to be seen, just becomes you wearing garments to look the part, but not actually walking in the part. And eventually all that's going to show up. And like I said, this is the age of the dispensation of unveiling, and a lot of things are being unveiled, okay, whether you like it or not, because everything in this divine realm is screaming for you to get it, okay? The earth is trying to reset itself, and I don't want this. The energies that's flowing on here, even the earth is crying, and in certain places trees aren't producing properly. It's tired. It's like we need a reset, okay? We need to work this thing out, okay? A true priest does not seek control. They seek alignment, okay? You're not trying to bring people in to control them and to make them think like you're thinking, okay? It's you want them to align. You want those people to align to their truth, to their assignment, to their destiny, okay? All right? And when you work with priests, ancestors, you will begin to be able to flow in that priesthood and in that mastery, and it's a beautiful place, I tell you. Okay, working with your ancestors, working with divine, working with any celestial being is a beautiful place. But you have to continue to be committed and disciplined as well. It's not chaotic. It's not about you going to a candy store and getting what you want because I want to use it to throw it up in Sarah's face, or oh, I got the knowledge now because God done told me to start up a problem. That's not what it's about. And when you misuse that, you just add fuel to a fire. Okay, you're setting in more, pouring more drama and trauma and all that's into the streams, into the rivers. Okay, you're not successfully completing your assignment now because you have the wrong mindset. Okay, and you have to learn that alignment. You have to sit with spirit. You have to meditate. You have to fast. You have to make it a lifestyle and a culture. You understand what I'm saying? This is why this moment matters so much. Okay, that people are out here trying to sound the alarm and to teach. Okay, all right, because people are being called to remember, not to escape, not to cause more harm. Okay, but to transform everything that's around you. Okay, from your mind, your body, your family, your atmosphere. Okay, we are all in sync. We are all one. We are all working. I am one with the tree. That's why I'm going to go into elemental ancestry. Okay, I am one with the blades of grass, the beetle. Okay, the fly, the birds. Okay, the ancestors do not need us just floating in the cloud in some delusion. Okay, they need us grounded. They don't need us trying to pick their brain so that we can be seen and make a lot of freaking videos to say I know this but not know what to do with it. Like, that's not what it's about. They need our hands, our choices, our voice, our creativity, our healing abilities, our gifts. The ancestral realm is not asking you to abandon your presence or your own. You feel what I'm saying? It wants you to be yourself fully, like I said in the last video. It is asking you to become conscious. Finally, come on, okay, of what you're carrying into the future. Be a little bit more conscious and aware, okay, of what you are doing and what the effects of it will be. Okay, every generation is an altar. Okay, what are you putting on your altar? Okay, what are you doing on your altar? Who's sitting on your altar? Who's touching your altar? Okay, every generation places something on that altar. Okay, some pain, wisdom, fear, courage, success. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, what are you placing there? Please, I want y'all all to get that, because eventually your turn is going to come. I worked in a nursing home, and I had people there. Some nurses there would treat the residents horribly, and it would make me mad. And I would say, you know what? One day your day's going to come. You're going to be sitting right there with them, like them, and somebody going to be treating you the same way. And you're going to be looking all sad, wondering why me. It's because you did that to old Hattie Mae 20 years ago. You didn't change her. You didn't hear her when she needed to be turned or positioned. You didn't give her a medicine. You didn't want her speaking to you. You didn't want to feed her food. You neglected her. You abused her. So now karma has its proper assignments. I tell them all the time, okay, watch how you treat people, okay? And I always tell people, never say never, because never will make a fool out of you every time, okay? All right? Just know somebody will stand where you stand now. Based on what you do is how they show up. They were going to stand there looking back, okay? Like, I have grandkids that are going to see my daughter's picture, okay? They're going to see the pictures on the wall and in the photo album, okay? They're going to look back. They're going to wonder who this person was. They're going to hear the stories, okay? All right? Somebody is going to stand where you are listening. Somebody is going to stand where you are feeling. Somebody is going to stand with you where you are having to carry the torch, okay? Trying to understand what you left behind, okay? All right? That is why justice matters. Tethering the invisible realm and the visible realm together matters, okay? Because the bridge you build today becomes the road, the journey, the cycle, the frequency that somebody walks tomorrow, okay? I am going to leave this right here. and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about further about this video. It'll be titled the same, and we will go into the blood, the healer, the warrior, the spiritual, the paternal, the maternal, the cultural, and the tribal, and the priesthood ancestors, because there's more to unfold with this. I thought that maybe these videos would be just composed in one and then I move forward, but I'm just gonna flow however spirit tells me to flow. Okay, so I'm gonna do this video, and then I'm gonna come back tomorrow and do the second half of these ancestors, okay, so that you can flow, okay, even more, so we can go deeper, okay, into like the lineage ancestral realm, different things like that, with this, because there's so much to unfold here. And then I believe that the next videos will be, once I get through all of that, will be a little bit lighter, not lighter as far as message wise, but be able to flow. Maybe there'll just be one video based on these ancestors, and then the next video moves on to the next set of ancestors and whatnot. So this is Duchess, spiritual doula. Many of you know me, many of you don't. Many of you might get with me, many of you won't. That is your business. Grace and peace. Ashe, aho.
Come on in, let's go. Crown state, third eye blazing. Now memory in your mirror, self-lit in your spine. The ancestors, which ancestors are whispering, whispering. No flex, just recognition. Power seeks power and sits down. There's no competition here, only alignment. All of the mass will fall. Truth breathes, strength multiplies. Praise be. Ashe, Ashe, Aho. Come on. Strengthen your posture, your rising day. Well, Ashe.